Good morning. Today we're going to find reference angles. You can read through the steps. We can see that we're going to have to draw the angle first, then we'll draw a reference triangle, and then we'll find the measure of that reference angle. We can work through a few examples here so you can get the idea how to do this. We begin with 140 degrees. We want to know what is the reference angle for 140 degrees. So we begin by drawing our angle. 0, initial side, 140. So this is the 140 degree angle. We then want to draw a triangle. From the end point of the terminal side, this point, you always draw it perpendicular to the x-axis. Make sure you go to the x-axis. You can see that creates a triangle. We have this triangle now. That is called the reference triangle. Inside the reference triangle, the angle that is at the origin, we use a Greek letter theta to be able to represent this angle. So therefore we will have theta, the little mark up above is theta prime. That represents reference angle. What we need to know is how big is that angle? Well, you had 140 to that terminal side. That would leave 40 degrees for the remaining part inside that angle. So that's how we find the reference angle. Let's do another example. Let's say that we're starting with a 340 degree angle. So we begin. Let's draw the 340 degree angle. Initial side, 340 is going to be about here. This represents our 340 degrees. Draw the reference triangle. Go from the end point of the terminal side. That is that point. Drop it perpendicular to the x-axis. That creates a triangle. You can darken in your triangle so you see exactly what you're looking at. There's the right angle. We then want to find the reference angle. Our reference angle is what is inside at the origin. How big is that angle? We represent that as theta prime. And what we can do, since we went 340, that would leave 20 degrees as our reference angle. Your reference angles will always be positive numbers. Let's try a couple more. This time let's go a negative 115 degree angle. We draw our angle. So we have, starting here, negative 115 degrees is going to put us over about here. That would be the negative 115. From the end point of that terminal side, which is that green dot, we draw it perpendicular to the x-axis, creating our triangle. So you can see what the triangle looks like. The reference angle is this angle that is inside at the origin. How big is that angle? So what we have to do is be able to calculate. We've gone 115 degrees. Going on over to the x-axis would give us an angle of 65 degrees. Notice that the reference angle will always be a positive value. That's very important for you to stress. All right, we can do the same thing if we are given an angle in radian measure. Let's do 6 pi over 7. Let's draw an angle. Here's the initial side. 6 pi over 7. Well, 1 pi would be here directly across, so it would be about like that. Now we can switch and be able to draw our reference triangle. Again, we drop this perpendicular to the x-axis. That creates our triangle. You can see what the triangle looks like. Now, where is our reference angle? It's inside that triangle. At the origin, we need to know how big is that angle. And what we know, we came around 6/7 of the way. That means what's left inside the triangle is 1/7. So our reference angle would be 1/7 pi, or pi over 7. Okay, let's do a couple more examples here in radians. Let's take an angle. We're going to have 10 pi over 3. Draw this angle. Well, the first thing to draw this, change that 10 over 3 into 3 1/3 pi. Now count that around in a positive direction. Go halfway around is 1 pi, come back to where you started is 2 pi, come back around 3 pi and 1/3. So that would put our angle about here. We would draw that 1, 2, 3 pi. Now draw the reference triangle. Go from the end point. Wherever you end up, always go from the end point. It's always drawn perpendicular to the x-axis. That will give you a triangle. Once you have your triangle, look inside the triangle. That's the angle that we're looking for. So in this case, how big would that angle be? And you can see that we've just gone 1/3 past that. So that would be a pi over 3 for our reference angle. One more example. We start with negative 14 pi over 9. Draw the angle. Initial side, go around negative 1 5/9 pi. So that would put us approximately about right there. We then can be able to draw our perpendicular, creating our triangle. Once we have that, our reference angle is the angle that's located at the origin inside the triangle. How big would that angle be? Well, you've gone 5/9 of the way over. It would now be equal to 4/9 is what you would have left. Let me know if you have problems today.